All right, we're back. Here we go, going live, etc. So, thought we should do a couple of things. Recap on the gameplay for the past week or so. I had said that I would try and play 2 or 3 games last week and last weekend. And part of that was also including wrapping up my Rise of the Roman Republic gameplay. So we did all the video for that, and you can see all that later. It's all being published later. But I thought what might be fun right now is to have a look at kind of the wrap up for MBT, because I'm at a stopping point with this particular scenario. And we can have a look at where we're at, how far we got with Ukraine 44, which is just over to our right over here, all the way over there. And I just packed up the C3I scenarios, the, what do you call it, the Great Battles of History. So we just packed all that stuff up and finished that scenario as well. So it was a great week of gaming. Always feel like when I have some time off or have available time that I never make the most of it, but you know, so be it, right? Okay, here's the interesting thing with expansion modules for MBT. I guess there is a tendency for me to think, you know, I don't know if I really need this module, but I probably want it. And there are 2 different things, need and want, right? And so I feel like that this set of scenarios that comes with this game, the maps that come with this game, and the units and the differentiation in those units really make it extremely worthwhile, because I walked into this scenario with the preconceived notions on T62s and how weak they were, which, you know, bore fruit, I should say. And I had the preconceived notion that, you know, using something that might be like a baby version of an M1 was probably going to be a beatdown for the Soviets. And after making a few mistakes and little errors here and there, we kind of got things squared away and got our MBT mojo back on and started playing more accurately. All of that came true. You know, the T-62s really do suck, but they do have this stabber missile, which when fired in anger, damn, are those things deadly. And that is the key to the successful use of the T-62MV anyway, this version of the T-62 that we're sitting here with. I got a little sideways and wrapped around the axle on the, you know, the ERA armor and stuff like that. I'm going to find a place. I guess I can move this. Actually, I want to kind of recap the gameplay a little bit, because it was not optimal, as always. But there you go. All right, so I'm going to put these guys here, and hopefully you'll be able to see them in a second. Hey, welcome, everybody. See a few people joining in. That's cool. It'd be really nice if you would at least just sort of say hi. And on the little chat box that's on the side there. I can't see the chat box unless I click on a little button here on my phone screen. We're doing all this from the phone, so it's always nice to know who's here and visiting, so I appreciate you tuning in. Now, let's get back to MBT. So the scenario is a meeting engagement in this particular instance, and we've got a handful of bridges. There's one up here at a screen, one here, a couple down in here, and there's a ford. I think, is there a ford somewhere? Maybe there is, I don't know. And anyway, your job is to capture the bridges, you know, last unit through, has control, etc., etc. And we roll for initiative, and both sides are basically equal in all categories, other than command points and the inherent national cohesiveness or morale of the 2 forces. And so chieftains versus T-62s, and these little, there are Scorpions and BRDM-2s, which unfortunately, I started playing with them as BRDM-2 ATGM capable units. Man, was that a game changer. And I thought the Scorpions had a nifty missile capability as well, and I was mistaken. And so I had pre-positioned my forces incorrectly. So at the start, we roll for initiative, and the Brits set up on this hill line here, and use that as a mechanism. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. cool. Oh, cool. Just making sure I didn't break any rules. Set up so that they could have the most view of the most number of bridges as possible, and then get after it going from there. Hey guys, good to see everybody. Mark and Ken and INTP, I believe like I know you, and I'm trying to think of what your real name is and what that acronym stands for, but I'm sure you'll post it under there in a second. Okay, so we set up, and as the Soviets who got to move first coming onto the board, they got to be the force coming onto the board. It took me a long time to work out a circuitous route, and I spent 2 turns actually just trying to get to this location here, and keeping everybody within command span, which is 10 hexes, and trying to work out what you can do. Because if you don't use the optional command span rule, it's easy just to say, hey, I'm gonna go sneak a tank. He's going to go off over here and capture all these things and do stuff like that. Well, command span rule, one of the later optional rules, means you've got to stay within the the battalion and company and platoon level command ranges and radii to make the game be in range with each other and have a cohesive force, which is freaking cool, right? And that's a little optional rule that you can just pluck up out of the optional rules and jam it down into your game and play it along with morale, right? You do the same thing with morale rules. You can either use them or not use them. Breakpoints in the game. Breakpoints are huge, because once a force breaks, then they're either broken or hesitating. And those two conditions massively impact, by degree, the ability to shoot, the ability to search, and indeed to receive orders, and it impacts the number of orders that are going to be given out as well. So completely changes the flavor of the game, and also brings games to an earlier conclusion than they would if you weren't using those rules, because it's very easy to say, hey, I've got a chieftain and it's hiding over here and you can't see me, and I could still win. I could dash out and do something fabulous. Well, look, dude, you couldn't. You're alone. You have almost no command points. You get massive penalties for shooting, because every time you get shot at, basically, or something dies near you, you got to do a morale roll, and if you roll poorly, you're broken. If you roll okay, you're hesitating, and that's going to impact your ability to fight back. So it's pretty awesome. Favorite rule, one of my favorite rules in this game. Hey, Richard, good to see you there, buddy. And Michael, welcome. Yeah, Ken, this is the BAOR module, so it's this module, mate. And we're playing the first scenario out of that, which is very similar to the first scenario out of the original MBT book, in that it was M60s, I think, and T62s or T72s or something like that. And they were shooting at each other. When I played that one, I upgraded the M60s. I made them all M1A1s, and that was a game changer. And I gave the Soviets T80s just to see what the feel was going to be like for those two weapons platforms. So in terms of gameplay, which was kind of cool, and I'm also happy to take questions as we're going along here on this or on the other 3 games that I played last week, and we're going to get to those in a minute, right? So the gameplay, I kind of snuck up into this area here, looked for an opportunity. There's a building here, right? Looked for an opportunity I was in Overwatch here, and I started moving one T62 down the road, see if I get down the road and down into the blind spot here behind the trees, right? Because they have height, right? And get behind them, and then, pop in, pop out, try and grab that bridge as a first up. And then I brought the rest of the force in this side here. There's a little hill here. We came in around this way, and I had some tanks trying to prop here. And then that gives me kind of pseudo control of this bridge here, this bridge here. There's another bridge right there, sorry. These 2 bridges and this guy here. And this one here, so there's 4 here. And not all of them are included in the victory conditions, but they're there, and you need to consider them, right? So, first up, Overwatch. We fired, killed the T-62, excuse me, and I think I used the, yeah, I did use the APF-SDS rounds, the kinetic rounds on that guy, and blew that sucker away. But that was, oh, you know what happened? I fired here, missed, then I overwatched, and I killed a tank, killed an enemy tank. And I was using the stabber, right? The stabber has a penetration rate of 110. And if you look at the defensive values of these guys, these chieftains, you know, on a level shot, that's their armor value. And you can see that that's all under 101, right? So any hit is probably going to do some pretty nasty damage. So given that I thought I had ATGM capable BRDMs, I was thinking, wow, this is massively unbalanced. I got the stabber missiles and the ATGMs, but I was wrong. These are not missile capable. They're basically used to go capture the bridges, right? That's what the Scorpions and the BRDMs are for. So it's really a shooting match between the two tank sets. And you can see there's a kinetic, chemical energy missile, a HESH-based missile, pretty weak penetration rate for the armor factors here, right? You can see a 74. 74 could do some damage, but when you're using CE, that means you're gonna get to use the ERA values. And that goes, you look at that number, sorry, you look at these numbers here, depending it's rise, fall, or whatever, on these boxes here, and you go to a table, and you'll see that the ERA number is 200, 180, all that sort of stuff, and I've only got a penetration rate of 74 with this dinky little missile, right? So you're never using HESH against the enemy. You're only using direct kinetic energy weapons, and then now I don't have to worry about the ERA stuff. I'm only fighting against the inherent armor capability of the force of the T-62. So that quickly changed the strategy for both sides once I realized that. So sitting here on the hill over here, sitting here over on this hill and trying to take pot shots was not effective. At range, it's exactly, I'll tell you what the range was, hang on. Yeah, it's exactly 22 hexes from here to where I was trying to shoot over on the right-hand side of the map. And if you look at the range, short range is 13 through basically through 22. So I was in a much higher to-hit probability range than you were for the Soviet tank, which is medium range 19 through 27, right? So all of a sudden, now we realize, know your unit capabilities. What's the very first thing you're supposed to do in tactical combat, right? So we need to be close range to get higher probability shots, which means we need to be between 11 and 18 hexes away. So when I started looking at the map, I'm like, okay, this is where my focal point has to be. I got to try and press here. Well, by that time, now the chieftains here had made some adjustments. I'd set up incorrectly. I had, Scorpions sitting on top of the hill going, oh, I'm going to fire a missile at you. Wait, we don't have a missile. So they had to back off and move. And we gave both sides a little bit of grace and allowed an adjustment move for the non-AFV vehicles, right? And so the tanks continue their movement. We started to close in. And why would I close in? Well, I would close in because I'd taken out 4 tanks over here on the left-hand side of the map, and for the loss of 1. So I was feeling pretty good. And I thought then at this point, now the cohesion rules are starting to kick in. Whenever you kill a unit in the hex, all the guys are immediately suppressed. But they also have to roll for morale. So they did a morale roll, they broke, which meant they got a massive modifier on their to hit table. So these guys could close. So we bum rushed these dudes, got into point blank range, and just started eviscerating the stack that was here. It was pretty freaking epic. So we really put the hurt on those guys. Sorry about the focus shift. So that's all goodness and fun. It's at this point in the game where I have 3 tanks, well, 4 tanks left, and I lost 4, that given the reduction in the command points, which is nominal but significant, well, can't be nominal as significant, can it? It was nominal but impactful, and the fact that all these guys were broken and would have to recover, and they're suppressed, they really can't hit anything. You're literally trying to roll under 20% to try and make a hit. And these guys clearly next turn were in great shape to do whatever it is they needed to do to wipe these last 2 or 3 tanks out. And plus still had, I've got 5 tanks over on the other hill that could move in, sweep the bridges, and come in behind these guys, take out the BRDMs that are over there on the hill. And yeah, we could have played out the whole 25 plus, 30 plus turns, whatever it is. But realistically, after about 8 turns or 10 turns, I think we're at here, these guys are pretty much a spent force, and in a pickle to boot, right? We've got degradation for smoke to shoot out of, a -5 on the degradation for being broken. I think suppression has an effect as well. You're not hitting anything, even at point blank range. You're going to get. In fact, I'll tell you exactly what it would be. At point blank range, and I'll come back to the questions. I know there's questions there or comments. I'll check those in a sec. So point blank range is this column here. I need a 90 or less to hit. But if I drop it down 5, I need 45. That's for being broken. 2 for being in smoke. And then is suppression, shooter suppressed, -5. Now, that's a good point. I don't know. I think that is cumulative. So that's going to put, that means I could almost not shoot, right? Because I'd be down to roll a 0-1. So, I don't know if you saw that. Maybe I went too fast there. See how it says shooter suppressed and shooter broken? Shooter broken on fire. Maybe it's unbroken or on fire. Regardless, there's 12 levels down, and it goes down 10. And there are no ups, right? There are no benefits for moving up. Okay, I'm gonna take a sip of my drink. I'll get a dry throat. Oh my gosh, that's so good. Goosehead beers, Bourbon County, barrel aged, fantastic, smooth caramel, great stuff. Okay, yeah, it's still got a little hop and a little alcohol burn to it. Okay, so it was over. This game was over, so let's just call it over and let's move on to the next exciting scenario or whatever the case might be. Okay, quick, let's check in here. Yeah, the brewed up markers are awesome, aren't they? I got them from Litco. Yes, it does exactly mark the same progression. In fact, so we can just, you know, do I need to take pictures? Am I done here? I think I'm done. So let's just. I think I did a shrink rip. I don't know how much time I spent on the scenario side of it though. Let me zoom out for you. So here's the scenario I played. 40th Motor Rifle Regiment, and then the next one has, you know, now it has tanks and infantry. Next one has even more tanks and infantry and laws. And after this scenario, you get serious with all sorts of fun stuff. You've got choppers and artillery being layered in, and aircraft, air support as well. So this is an awesome scenario. Here's the BAOR force. You've got lynxes and tornadoes and challengers and warriors and infantry and, you know, laws and Gustav guns and stuff, right? And competing against heavy organic artillery, T-72s this time, plus the, that's a bridge layer, I think. Is that a bridge layer? Or is that a missile launcher? I forget what these guys are. I think that's a missile launcher. Don't know. Doesn't matter. Whatever. 272s. So you can see it just gets kicked up a notch, right? Can you see that okay? Sorry if you can't. I guess I'm wasting your time if you can't. And here's another one. It's got a relief force as well. So you're rolling to see when they arrive and the VP penalty for those arrivals. I love these types of scenarios. They're freaking awesome. Get some Hinds or some Mi-8s for delivery of the bad guys, right? The Soviets, and there's some Hinds to support them. Always fun with T-80s and BMP-3s. That's a killer. That's a killer force. Obviously, these guys are on the attack here. That's a combined arms brigade coming at you, right? And then it goes on and on, right? There's tons and tons. This is a 5-map scenario. Look at that bad boy. That just looks like it would be awesome to play. Yeah, you've got... How many tanks are on the battlefield? Let's see how many British tanks are on the battlefield for this one. 2, 3, 6, 9, 12. Plus another 3, 15. And then you've got these FV432s there to kind of troop carrier doohickeys. Organic artillery. And the Soviets are bringing the pain with a bunch of T-80s and a bunch of supporting infantry and BTRs and stuff like that. Obviously, mine clearing is a big deal in this. Both of them have mine plows. All right, so that gives you a feel for the types of scenarios, right? Pretty sexy. I would say, Ken, in terms of morale, that once you start breaking. Once you start reaching that cohesion point limit, and if you look in the rules, it's where is it? It's right here somewhere. There you go. There's this cohesion morale thing, right? So there's a point allocation per scenario, but you can also roll this stuff up to kind of randomize it a little bit. You don't really need to do that. But you roll up or you obtain your cohesion point factors, and it's influenced by the nationality, yeah, and the quality of the forces. And then once you start doing morale checks, as you can see here, you go through these morale checks, which you would do normally under circumstances where a command unit is eliminated or you're overrun or something else happens, right? Or you take a flame attack or whatever, which is obviously straight out of Panzer. I guess everybody knows that these rules are a cut and paste from the Panzer rules, plus, right? Plus all the modern stuff. So there's nothing uniquely new here. And so often you'll see these references that are really, to me, feel like they're aimed at Panzer versus MBT. Okay, so you keep track of your losses. There's a little chart. You keep track of your cohesion point losses, and then you start doing these normal morale checks, which can be pretty brutal. Once you lose all your cohesion points, when you move from its current hex, you take a morale check. And that means when you take a morale check, you're either going to be hesitating or broken. There's no, oh, you were successful and you carry on and are a happy little soldier. If attacked by direct or indirect fire, overrun, close assault, had a vehicle blew up in the same hex, all this other stuff. And here's the penalties for being broken. -5 to all armor-piercing combat, which is what I just showed you before. And here it's -3 if you're hesitating. So it's just a freaking beatdown, right? And that's really, that's how you build a level of, to me, it's a level of realism in that, guys aren't just going to sit there and plink away to each other until they're the last guy on the map. It just doesn't happen. People break and run. And it's that point you go, you know what, this game's over. I can't move out of the hex. If I do, I become hesitating or broken, right? Okay, so lot of fun. It's a little, for me, it takes a turn or two to get back into the groove of playing this system. And then you've got to really pay attention to you know, you got a lot of charts. I like to do all this. I like to do all the number of hits and hit location and, you know, variable penetration, because I just grab a handful of dice and roll them and we're done. It's awesome. I've got a video coming on this. I think I posted it. I don't know. And I love these cards. I love the variability in the units, and you'll find little tweaks and tricks, and you go, ah, right, okay, I can stand off at medium range. I can stand off at medium range and pound on these guys. Oh, dude, I need to get within 11 or more, 11 to 19, 18 to do any damage. Or I can stand off at 40, right? Point blank range. I'm going to have point blank range, right? At 40. So think about that. You saw that it was 90% chance to hit on point blank range with a range of 40 and a penetration of 110. It's going to kill almost anything. It probably wouldn't kill an M1 because of the CE value, but these guys don't get any CE benefit. That's why these chieftains are kind of shitty if you're firing CE-based weapons. But there's ammo limits here. So, you know, we've got a ammo limit of 4. So we roll a D10. And if we roll, is it 4 or under or 4 or over, one of the two, and then, you know, you don't have any more, or you only have 4 shots, or whatever the case may be. So I forget what it is. So fun stuff. Okay. I'm checking the comments. Trying to get the glare out of your eyes. Yeah, maybe it is Alter Brooks. Hey, Fango, good to see you. And David, good to see you. And JJ, what's up? Oh, JJ, that's an interesting question. We should sort of talk about that at some point, but not right now. Okay, so let's kind of dial in on. Oops, there goes the dice. Nice job, Sharp. Okay, we played this. Is this the wrong 21? This is it. Where did it go? Here it is, Spartacus. Well, it nearly bit me. So, Conquest of Gaul battles. We played the first battle out of that, the Battle of Salinae. 73 BC, if I recall correctly. Great little scenario. Had a blast playing that. Also got to the point where we broke. The poor old Romans broke very, very quickly, and so that ended up after 3 turns. Maybe it was 4 turns, but it was a beatdown for the Romans, because their recruit legions didn't have the strength really that they needed, the morale, and the leadership sucked. And the Spartans, I really feel like the Spartans had a massively overrated leadership capabilities and troop quality capabilities, but it's the only way that they have any chance of having any luck at all at winning any battle against a Roman legion. It's this, and I can see the justification for it would be, hey, we're fighting for our freedom, so we're all going to be 8s versus 6s against the Romans. Yeah, maybe not. You know, that might have been a little overzealous. You've got Spartacus rated as high as almost as high or as high as Caesar in terms of generalship capability against very mediocre generals for the Romans. Right. So that was fun. Played it. I'm probably not going to play the rest of the scenarios. Although it would be interesting to play one of the later ones where the shoe is on the other foot, right? And the Spartans are in the hot seat and probably going to lose, just to see how that type of scenario is structured. The last game I was playing last week was, I nearly said Rise of the Roman Republic, but we wrapped that up just before we started everything, basically, and no need to go into that right now. So Ukraine 44. So let's switch gears and move to World War II and the Eastern Front. And if I can put this down without knocking anything over, I'll right there. Hang out. Okay. Ooh, this chair's much more comfortable. I really need a new cushion for that other chair. All right. So I'm going to move the camera back over towards me because I'm not sure what the microphone's like on the other side. Check in on commentary. Let's turn the light around so you can see. I just wiped all the dead units with the cable. There we go. Whoa, that almost was a disaster. I almost knocked the lamp over onto the beer glass, which would have landed on the game. And we could have had the here's what you don't do when you're playing war games discussion. Okay, Ukraine 44. Really a pretty interesting system. And before I get into that, let's say hi to John Longshore and David Page and Ken Bennett is still there. Yeah, John, you know, attack nukes are not going to factor into a 100 meter per hex game, right? It's assumed that whatever fighting is happening is non-nuclear in nature. I'm not even sure there's chemical weapons rules here, so because you know once you get there, that's a slippery slope. Although it might be fun to check out what some of the weapons options are for the aircraft. That'd be kind of cool. I haven't really dug into the aircraft rules. I don't use them very often. All right, Ukraine 44. Let's wind back the clock. It's 1944. Russians are on the offensive. We've got this pocket here, the what's called Hube's pocket from the old OCS title. Same area, I believe. And this is a curious game to me, and I'll show you why. Let me see if I can get. I've got to keep this set up because I'm not done yet, and I don't want to jack anything up. So let me find something I can see that's got units. Here's a classic example right here. So I'm gonna excuse the squeaky door in the background there, but okay. So if we take a look at this this core, it's a basically a mechanized core with a 13 attack factor and a 7 defense. And it has 6 step losses. And then we look at this division of Hungarian infantry. It has a 2 attack factor and a 7 defense, and it's taken 1 step loss. So in order to eliminate a unit, you need to kill 1 step. Sorry, 1 more step, right? Once I get to the 7, once the 7 defensive steps are killed, and all of the steps of the defender, you're gone and you're dead, regardless of what you got left on offensive capabilities. So what this does is gives you the ability to keep fighting offensively, even though you're weakened defensively. And as the defender with the high defense rating and the low offensive rating, it's representing that, hey, you know, let's all be real. This is a little Hungarian division, and it doesn't have big offensive capability, but it is okay if it's entrenched or dug in or whatever the case may be. And so it's got a defense of 7. Here's where the system starts to get a little fragile, though, is that the interesting thing here is if I attacked across this river now, based on the way the CRT works, I'm guaranteed I'm going to kill that unit. I will, and I'm also guaranteed I'll take a step loss. Because even at, that would be a defense of 1, right? And I have an attack of 1, so at a 1-to-1 attack, even coming across that bridge with a -2 or whatever it's going to be on the die roll, I'm going to be on this table here. Everybody loses a step, right? 1-1. So that means this little unit here would be bygones, and this guy would flip this over to a 2, and then he would just rotate off, and we put the next guy up. And in fact, that's what I've been doing here, is I was rotating these dudes around, you know, with the view that, hey, this guy will take a step loss, then he'll back out, and we'll put the next fella into the equation here. Now, obviously, there's other things going on. We've got these other forces pressing down to try and engage with the Hungarians, but they're isolated. They're isolated. I'm not sure if they're isolated. Yes, they are. I think they're isolated at the moment because the Germans have managed to cut the supply line. Actually, this guy's okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He is okay. It's these two. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, he's okay as well. So it's only this guy that's not okay. I think what had happened was I'd had these blocked previously. But these two dudes are in supply. So he could come down here once this guy was eliminated, if we chose to have him, let him be eliminated, and bring this fella in, and we begin this war of attrition again. So tough, tough gameplay, but as you start looking at the forces you have, you know, you've got these infantry units that have, the Germans have a 5 combat factor and a 10 defense. Here's one. Here's an example. Here's just a 5'11" guy, right? Now he's going to sit back and let you pound on him and try and, you know, weaken him, and then he'll just rotate out and bring the next guy on. But because we got to the point now with this game where we're in turn 8, and the second nominal batch, actually the first batch of real reinforcements has arrived for the Germans. They've kind of stabilized things a little bit, and they're starting to push back. They're starting to do a little bit of lunging in and around this area here to block supply to these guys. If I can get down to here, I can block that road that's going to lead back to a supply source for all of these units here, which kills the offensive here, gives me a chance as the Hungarian to indeed wipe that guy out. And these fellas, they're a little beaten. You know, that's got a -6 out of 14. This one's got a -2 out of 12. There's another -2 on 10. And this 8-8 down here is taking a one-step loss as well. So beaten up pretty badly. There's a 4 out of 10 beaten up here, and we've got lots more divisions coming at us, Russian divisions. But you'll notice what I've done is I've spread myself too thin as the Soviets. I sent all the good shit over there. They're all isolated. These guys have defensive 2, combative 3. They're easy to cherry pick. So if I can run in here, attack, and particularly if I can get, you know, one of these in on the action, and just even if they've got 1 attack factor, which is what this guy has left, if he's got 1 attack factor left, he can participate in that attack. I can soak off the loss on him and keep these divisions tough and take a chance that I can kill another division. And of course, the whole game is predicated upon VPs for the bridges and crossing the bridge, VPs for step losses, which is going to be most of the VPs, and then VPs for any steps that are over on the north side of the Dniester River. So fun, interesting game. It's a little, you know, a little challenge, a little puzzle to be solved. That once you work out the combat situation, it's pretty nifty to get in there and get after it, as both sides have some unique capabilities. All right, let's see what else we got here. Yeah, it really is encouraging unit rotation. Fango, hey Tony, good to see you, man. Step loss affects combat and defense. So your combat effectiveness is being degraded as well. But once the defensive number goes to 0, boom, you're done. Hey Ty, what's going on, man? So this was the 3rd game we played, and I was really hoping I'd get this wrapped up during the week, you know, last week. But birthday parties, 3 lacrosse games with kids. We were out the whole day Sunday. Had 15, 18-year-olds running around shooting guns, and pretty sure they were vaping out the back somewhere as well. I could smell it, but I let them go. It wasn't pot, so it was just a little bit of tobacco, and I thought they were pretty cool. So So that was a long weekend, actually. I got nowhere near as much done as I hoped. But nevertheless, my point about sharing this with you here is we're super close to being done here, because the combat effectiveness of the Soviets, really, it's all here, right here. This is the best units. Well, actually, shoot. This guy is good. There's another one up here that's good. There's another big core up here that's only got 1 step loss. They can come in and grind, right? Because they've got 28 combat factors, and this one has 24 combat factors. So they can come in and do a 2-to-1 attack. And as long as they don't roll, then there's nothing they can roll that's going to be any worse than taking the standard loss. So they're going to lose 1. If they do half a dozen attacks, they're still going to have an attack value of 18. So I can combine them with another unit and get 2-to-1 on these much, much weaker German units who only have 10s for defense. As you can see, I'm running a thin line of German divisions across, armored divisions across this area here, because Chernovtsi is just here, and that's a big VP location as well. The starred cities are VP locations. Good artwork. Great map. I think it's very muted. It's got a nice feel to it, given its march. You know, it's cool. I like it, and I like the game. I wouldn't play a 2-map version of this system, but a 1-mapper is great because this has managed to capture the essence of the game. I see the Thai Bomber's got some game up about this period as well, and it seems like he's talking exactly the same sort of loss ratio mechanic. So I guess everything old is new again, right? I think it works for the battle. If you had traditional step, 1-2 step loss type of thing, where you would flip a unit over, then remove it type of thing. I don't think that would work here, because you need to give the Germans the ability to gradually be ground to dust, and you need the offensive capability of the Soviets to be gradually ground to dust. And I think this game does a great job of it. You just need someone who can play it a little better and more effectively than me. So anyway, so there was that. Let's see what else we got. Yeah, for 24 bucks. This is big value game. I'm just looking at the questions here. No, the backs of the counters. So here's the other thing, right? Okay, so mea culpa. So the fronts of the counters unknown, right? You know what you have, but the enemy doesn't know who you are. You just know that there's an armored unit coming at you, and right? It's an armored unit and it's red. It's a core. So whether it's 28 or 24 really doesn't matter. But these guys, obviously, all these different army forces, so like the 38th Army, okay, if I flip all these guys over, technically they're all supposed to come at me like this, right? And as you can see with this army, or you could see previously, most of the defensive values are 3. It's just variable what the offensive value is. The defensive values of the 10th Army vary more significantly. It ranges from 2 to 4. So that makes the counterattacking a higher risk proposition for the Germans if they get sucker punched and attack a 4 rated unit when they were expecting a 2. And of course, as I look now over here, for instance, over here, I can see, okay, yeah, that's, they're all 2s and 3s. As the German, I'm probably going to take my chances. I'm just going to attack one, right? I'm putting the best unit on the edge anyway. I'm not going to go, I don't like the mechanic of having to flip everything over to see what it is. That's one of the reasons why I'm not a huge fan of La Bataille, and not a huge fan of the Zucker Napoleonics games, because ideally you have to play them face down, and it's just a pain in the ass. I'm not flipping everything over. So, yeah, David, I think if you want to play something at this scale, that's 1 day turns, and you want to understand what went on with the battle, I think this gives you a good feel for it. I don't know there's a lot else out unless you want to go grab the multi-mapper, multi-hundred, probably 1,000-piece Hughes Pocket from OCS, and you could play that. I think this is capturing what went on based on my reading of the OCS designer notes and historical notes, a little bit of skim reading on history, and the notes that there's not a lot of notes in here in the magazine game, but certainly worth taking a look at. And for 24 bucks, you're gonna be able to flip it for 10 or 12. So, you know, so your net cost to play this game is somewhere between $10 and $15. And you're gonna get 4 to 8 hours of gameplay out of one play, and maybe 2 or 3 plays if you played it opposed. You could play this multiple times opposed, because as I've looked over what I've done, based on the pictures I took, there are clearly some very different strategies I would use as the Soviets, and there are a number of different strategies you could pursue. So I think it brings a lot of replay value to the table, particularly with the face-up hidden counter stuff. Okay, great. Yeah, so I think that probably covers all that. That was a long-winded answer. And I'm losing my voice. What's up with that? I've been on the phone all day today, interviewing with companies and discussing consulting agreements and rubbish. So let's see. I think that's all I really wanted to share. I just wanted to give you an update. I told everybody I was going to play 2 or 3 games last week, and I posted a few snapshots here and there, and a couple of little videos, but I thought it'd be good to give a recap since that was the week. Next week I'm going to be busy working full time, so I'm not going to have as much time to have a goof off fun gaming time. So hopefully you guys will see me in the evenings and posting on a regular basis once life settles down a little bit. I do have all of April, May, and June. I have posts scheduled for you for every Thursday and Friday, and some Saturdays. So there should be lots of good content. It's kind of the backlog of all the stuff I've been playing over the last 12 months that I hadn't posted about. I'm going to get all that out to you. And I've had a significant number of guest posts as well that are being shared over that period of time as well. So hopefully you'll have lots of fun stuff to enjoy, just in case I get buried in work for the next couple of months and actually have to, earn my keep. So, all right, talk to you guys soon. Take care, and thanks for checking in. If there's any last questions, now's your chance. I'm going to give you 20 seconds. Awesome. There we go. There's the, I'll take that as a farewell. Very cool. Thanks for the kind comments here, and I look forward to talking to all of you soon.